You're now seeing former Russian President Boris Yeltsin on your screen. He was a very controversial and scandalous figure, known for showing up at official events intoxicated. Yeltsin was also famous for his drunken dancing. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, he was elected as the first president of Russia. People thought he was a Democrat, a fair person who would lift Russia up from its knees after the fall of the USSR. But the country was plagued by hunger, destruction, and corruption at the highest levels, and corruption became ingrained in Russian culture. Nothing was accomplished without it. In 1993, Sergei Orakov, a major general in the communications forces and chief of staff of the KGB's government communications forces, reached out to Yeltsin. Orakov also led a KGB department focused on studying extraterrestrial life, a position he had held since Stalin's era. He informed Yeltsin that the British were interested in meeting him to discuss the transfer of extraterrestrial artifacts that the Soviet Union had acquired. Prior to this, the Americans had cooperated multiple times with Russian authorities regarding extraterrestrial objects and had purchased many items from them. Naturally, Yeltsin agreed to the meeting. The meeting took place in April 1994 in Moscow. British intelligence had information that 4 extraterrestrial objects were stored at the 61st Fighter Air Base in Belarus, and they asked Yeltsin to mediate negotiations with the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko. Yeltsin immediately called Lukashenko and explained everything. Lukashenko agreed to the meeting. However, it's worth noting that none of this was free. The British paid Yeltsin a substantial amount. In June, the British arrived in Belarus and secretly met with Alexander Lukashenko. Many discussions and proposals took place, but Lukashenko turned out to be a tough nut to crack. The meeting led to no results, and the British returned to the United Kingdom. In December 1996, President Lukashenko himself contacted the British and proposed another meeting in Moscow, to which they agreed. At this meeting was a famous British general, though I cannot reveal his name. The British offered Lukashenko a huge sum, and negotiations continued for several hours. Eventually, Lukashenko agreed, allowing for the transport of these extraterrestrial flying objects to the UK. On January 27, 1997, the British arrived at the airbase and began transporting the UFOs. Following these events, Yeltsin arranged an auction between the British and Americans. I read in the documents that in 1997 there was a conversation between Yeltsin and Madeleine Albright, in which Yeltsin proposed the release of Russian KGB agent Konstantin Severs, who had been imprisoned in Arizona since 1988 on espionage charges. Yeltsin offered certain secret materials related to extraterrestrial life as part of the exchange, but received a firm refusal. In 1998, a severe economic crisis began in Russia, made worse by the Second War in Chechnya, where Russia was struggling without success, having lost the First War outright. In 1998, a phone call came to the office of Defense Minister Igor Sergeyev from America, with an offer to assist against Chechen militants in exchange for certain extraterrestrial artifacts that the Russians were storing in a secret base in Uzbekistan. You're currently seeing this artifact on your screen. The Americans offered precise satellite photos taken in Chechnya with coordinates showing concentrations of Chechen militants, their movements, where was Chechen President Aslan Maskhadov, and so on. Russia's defense minister couldn't ignore this offer because it was a chance to turn the tide of the war in Chechnya, so he accepted. And I want to tell you that with the coordinates provided by the Americans, the success began to shift toward Russia, and soon Russia was able to take control of the entire Chechen Republic. In 1998, from a secret base in Uzbekistan, the Americans covertly transported the extraterrestrial artifact to Moscow and from Moscow to the United States. Many may not believe what I'm telling you, but I assure you, everything you're hearing is factual. Some say I'm doing this for monetization or something like that. But these stories will end soon, and I will no longer continue this channel. I'm doing this so that people will understand what is actually happening. Nobody is paying me for this. In the next episode, I'll share another fascinating story from Cuba, where Soviet soldiers simply stole extraterrestrial artifacts and transported them back to Russia.